to. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm thinking you go out to 108, take a right. There's a barn on the right. Oh, we're on. When you got,
You should be able to sit on it.
see it.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Newfields Planning Board session for this evening to order. My name is Jamie Thompson. I'm the chairman of the planning board. And if each of the members could introduce themselves so that our AI can identify us on the recording.
I'm John Haden.
Bill Missouri.
Mike Price.
Jeff Feenstra.
Agreeing with the planner, not a member.
Okay. Do we have a quorum?
You have a quorum.
Okay.
You're set.
Okay, great. NES School Safety Project.
If you, for if you want to.
Thank you.
Start? Sure. Good evening. I'm Karen Steyer. I live on Three Heats Drive, and I'm a member of the safety committee for the school to investigate the challenges that have been identified over many years, I think, with what's going on the property on that property. We wanted to come here tonight to give you an update about what the committee did and the recommendation that was made to the school board. And Jane's on the school board, so she's here to speak in that. When we first started, so the committee is made up of people from town who expressed an interest, and they're from all walks of life. There are parents, there are professional people, there are retirees like me. There's a school board member, there are representatives from the school administration and faculty. So anybody who wanted to be on it was welcome to join us. And these are the people that ended up giving their time. And we met about once a month and then went off and did stuff. We started out by looking to see what the challenges were on the property. So as everybody probably knows, it's the pedestrian crossing across Route 87, where the kids who are either walking, parents who are walking, have to both cross 87, then cross the driveway. They cross into the fire department parking lot. Then they cross the driveway and go up the steps. And then they have to cross where the cars are driving to get into the school. So that was the first thing. The traffic itself that goes in the school, it goes in and out of a two-way driveway. They go up the hill, around the school, where the lines of sight are terrible, around the corners. When there's snow, like now, it can be very narrow. They go past where the playground is. There are cars that are parked there, and they come around the school and then drop off in the front. The lower lot, people sometimes pull in there. Their kids walk up through where the cars are. And so there are lots of places where kids or pedestrians could be sort of in a place where they might get injured from the cars that are driving through, and that the cars are having trouble seeing where they're going, seeing the kids, seeing each other when they come around the corner. The third thing is that there's not much signage or lines any longer for the crosswalks that are at the school. I don't know if you've driven past the school lately, but there are cones up now to try to keep the pedestrians away from the cars and direct the kids to walk and cross across the road in one place. And then there's the cars drive around the building. And so when it's pickup time, there are cars backed up around the building waiting for the kids to get out. So we took those, we did some brainstorming and decided which things we as a group wanted to address and look into. And it turned out basically being two things in my mind. It's the crossing the street and what might we able to do about that. The chief of police and the fire department were both very concerned about that situation. And then it's how could we route traffic, and realizing that the school owns not just the basic plot where the school is, but they own the piece of property right next to it. And was there a way to utilize some of that property to redirect the traffic and hopefully make it a flow that would be safer for the kids, safer for the people who were driving. But we were also very, very conscious about coming up with a decision that would minimize the cost to the taxpayers. And the solution that we propose is significantly less than it has been in the past. It involves, if you look at the map that's on there, it basically involves taking out most of the part of actually the drive will be a one-way drive. So you would come in where right now the driveway enters, but you would go up around the building and we would put in another small driveway that would go across the back of the property and come out by the tree, where there's the entrance to go to the fields right now.
Where the other property's border is and the fire hydrant that's there.
That would actually be a two-way place so people can get into the lower lot. We're not talking about trying to pave that lot, which was in the original design that you guys saw a year and a half ago. And then for the crosswalk, we suggested relocating the crosswalk so that the kids don't end up in the driveway, they don't end up in the firehouse, but we move it slightly away from town, down Route 87, and make a path that would go up into the school. This would keep traffic from going along the side of the school and the front of the school. So the loop now becomes a one-way loop that just goes back behind the school. We also were informed that the paving at the school is way past its lifetime. And there are sinkholes that are developing. There are lots and lots of divots. And so regardless of what we were going to do, that has to be addressed and has to be done. And it's been pushed back because of the previous safety project. You don't want to pave something that you're not going to use. So in this scenario, we would have repaving the entrance where you come in and around the back of the school, but not the side and the front. That would not be repaved.
Does this cause a rebuilding of the entryway to the school because you have a new drop-off point?
The drop-off point, good question. The drop-off point would be behind the school. And that's all.
Been fine for.
Yeah.
Yep, there is a ramp up behind there that as long as we're within budget, we will redo the ramp just to make it a little bit more better. But for the most part, there's an entryway back there, as well as a staircase and a ramp. So,
and go ahead.
So cars and buses will use the same route.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Unlike the previous one that was going to have the buses going in one place and the cars going in another place, but was a significant expense to both raise that parking lot up to the level of the school, like 15 feet or something.
Yeah.
And to pave that whole parking lot.
Right.
What's the guesstimated cost of this?
We've gotten 3 quotes and we are looking at a bond at about $500,000.
Significantly less than what the proposal was last time around.
So the traffic way will be paved all the way around, the large loop all the way around.
Loop is going to be paved. The lot will be gravel, but it's not going to be paved, so it'll be permeable. And there will be a ramp from the moved crosswalk on Piscassic up to the front door, and the stairs will be removed that are there currently. We don't want stairs going down into a driveway, essentially.
And the stairs are in terrible shape anyhow. Regardless, they should probably have been rebuilt 10 years ago.
And then if there is room, then we'll do a couple of other things in here, but that is only if we have it built in, and it's not going to be too expensive.
Do you think it'll get to the point where the cars will be backed up out to the road?
It's a good question, and it's one of the questions that
Chief Young had
had.
mentioned that. We're unsure, because once we look at this, and if they do, how can we mitigate it? And there are other ways to mitigate that. One is kind of right now, the width of this driveway isn't really going to change. We're just repaving it. So there is kind of effectively 2 lanes there for a portion of it, and you could double up parking, things along those lines. When we talked to Chief Young about this, we haven't met as a committee yet to kind of brainstorm what that idea would be and how we would mitigate that. But it is a good question now. We
Because
don't
I'm thinking
want that to happen.
those cars back now, how far back do they back up?
I mean, I've been there.
Rainy day.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to figure out, it's a very short window of time, this drop off and pick up.
Right.
15 minutes usually. And so it's spread out. And you've got, I don't know, what do we estimate? Maybe 40 cars that might,
Not even.
that might come in during that time on a rainy day or a snowy day.
Yeah, it's typically less than drop off because they drop off and go. It's more pickup. Pickup is more, people are lined up there for half an hour before school ends. And that's when people do that. Go ahead, John.
Would it be limited from coming in the two-way area and parking at the gravel lot, walking kids up to the school?
That gravel lot is not going to be plowed and like today it would not be plowed. That is not something that right now, the town plows the school. And we don't want to add any more expense to that. We've already talked to Newfields and they said this design is not going to incur any additional costs. So our plan currently is to leave this as a seasonal lot, not as a something that is plowed.
We are planning to try and grade it, put some more gravel on it. That was part of the recommendation. It's kind of hard to get in.
If you don't have all of that parking all winter long, won't that create a problem?
Along the back now and along the side than there is currently. So, and this side lot
Right.
is going to still be there. So there is plenty of parking for visitors as well as staff.
And handicap parking also.
During an event, would you use that upper existing parking lot?
During an event, yeah. If there's like a school event, as long as it is seasonally open, yes. And if it is not,
Oh, no, I don't mean the adjoining one. I mean the upper parking lot that exists now.
well, that'll always be in use. That'll be-
Okay.
It'll be open. It's used by teachers now,
Okay.
but I think we're gaining, what did we have? 34 parking spots for faculty would be in this plan.
Yeah, this would be a net gain of parking in general. There's more parking along the back side of the school, as well as, so all across the NYAE field, as well as kind of up into the, a few spots up into the firehouse side. So all along the back will be parking, where that isn't all parking now, part of it is.
So
Sorry.
how many total spots do you envision?
I had the number and I don't remember what it is.
I mean, 86 altogether, I think, if you include the bottom line.
If you include the,
Yeah, yeah. But there's plenty of spots. One of the concerns is there's no place to park in town, during town events and everything. But it's a very expensive thing to pave that lot,
oh, absolutely.
right? Significant, it was like $250,000 extra if we were going to let it.
Times a year that it's needed.
Right? And so
It just wasn't feasibly.
it sort of doesn't make sense.
And then lights and all.
Right. So yeah, we're not putting
We're
it.
not lighting anything in this.
Right.
We're not, there's no lighting, there's trees coming down, there's pavement going in, and there's leveling. There's no bringing the grade up. It is as minimal as we can estimate it.
We also, I did not mention that we will put a blinker light at the crosswalk that hopefully will work. Unlike the one right now that is,
Be the sign that
the ones that are like
Newmarket.
or in Newmarket. Yeah, it would be like that. That would,
To be closer to Newmarket, it's not like you're going to walk up to it like hit PEA and it'll automatically flash. It'll be a push button, but it'll be a quick button.
Right.
More visibility.
Did you run this by DOT yet?
Yep.
They're okay with it?
Yeah.
That's good.
Sorry.
Are you increasing impervious surface? And, and if you are, how are you addressing
Sorry.
impervious surface? Are you increasing it and how are you
It's
addressing?
going to be increased a little bit as we go to the plan set phase, which is kind of next. We will see if we need any drainage, things like that.
I mean,
That is all inclusive into that $500,000.
certainly the paving that will be this new driveway is an impervious surface because it is asphalt.
Yeah.
It is at the edge of the property. And we've spoken with the resident that lives next to that new house that's being.
That owns it now.
Yeah. And they're very supportive of what's going on as new residents.
I just want to go back to the front of the school issue, because it is a huge issue and we put, significant investment in the front of that to make it safe. Are we going to end up having to do the same thing for the back of the school if that becomes sort of the main entrance coming in and out?
You mean,
Oh, the doors
talking-
and everything,
Yeah, because if it becomes the main place
Block.
people are coming in, if we're not,
so the main entrance is still going to be the front. So all of your visitor parking is still in this,
so they just walk all the way to the front,
Walk.
go to the front. So getting in will stay that way. It won't.
it's going to stay that way.
the kids that would go in that ring.
That's just your entrance for kids getting on and off the bus, entering and exiting for those kind of, end of school, beginning of school times. The school offices, that front entrance will still be utilized by visitors as well as walkers or anybody who's riding their bike to school, things along those lines. That's going to be.
So would it, for that, if I'm a visitor for whatever reason, can I drive around and park in that front lot?
Well, you can drive to the visitor parking lot here and then you walk to the front. That's the current.
So the current lot that's like the multi-purpose room and everything is still going to be available for people to drive to and parking.
Gotcha.
I've got a question. So on the lot, the proposed lot that's there now, is there just one entrance to that lot?
Yep. One entrance, one exit.
Okay, so it's in the same spot?
Yep. That's not moving.
Right in the same spot?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
What's the name of that tree there that's John, that's,
Tamara, that's not, it's over.
I know, but I wonder,
Green area.
it'd be nice if that were saved.
You mean the big, huge one?
So,
Just, yeah, it's the
yeah, there's,
nice trees.
it's from the Monahan property. It kind of looks like a spruce tree in the summertime.
It loses its.
But
This is its, yeah, needles.
sheds, needles, like,
Where the trees that might come down, I believe are the ones that would be in the way of this driveway.
In the back
I don't think
corner?
that tree is.
They're going to be in the back, but there's also going to be some at the front. That large tree in the front, that's kind of where the driveway is going to be. So that one, unless we,
down on 87.
Down further on, that may have to come down because it would be where the drivers.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to keep that tamarack tree.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But we'll put it in the comments. This is the kind of stuff we're looking for to make sure, what did we miss? Because we're not,
Unique tree to the
Mhm.
right.
it's a beautiful tree. Yeah.
Down.
Which one is it? Do you remember?
Looks like
If you're looking at the stairs in front of the old original school building, and then if you look right to the Monahan property, kind of where you guys had the garden area.
Yep.
There's it looks like a spruce tree from summertime.
tall, kind of spindly,
Yeah,
I don't think,
that one's not going to be affected.
looks like it's trying to
we'll
survive.
make sure to make a note so that it's.
I know, the gorgeous one in front, like right next to I think that one's to like my heart's discontent.
Mhm.
It's going to be right in the way of the.
Because that's-
It's right now, if that's where that original driveway is, as you go down, and it's really hard to see around it, and I can't imagine buses are going to want that visibility. But it looks like the Tamarack is not in
Okay.
the ramp that we're going to be putting in front. It's not going to be stairs, it'll be a ramp. I mean, we can make sure that
Is that going to go up through the stone wall?
Mhm.
So what's the timeline? You say it's got to go to a design phase?
we're going to go to plan set before March. So there'll be, some adjustments to this, some feedback from different groups, and then this will go to a bond hearing and be on the ballot in March. And then if passed, we'd like to be able to get this done by the summer. So this summer, so we can.
So how are you going to know the price if you're not going to know the final design until March?
We have gone out to 3 different vendors currently and gotten guesstimations based upon designs that we have worked with TF Moran on.
This
And
is,
they've given us, big swag, for this would be, between this and this. So we've gotten, 3 estimates isn't terrible. And we've been refining it as we go.
I learned, so having done bids and proposals, that the school system does things a little differently, which is you go out and you get this sort of range of what it might be, and then it's not until you get the money, the approval for the bond, that you can actually send bids out.
Yeah.
You have to have the approval for the money before you can do bids.
Yeah, we can't get a bid. The school board can't go out to bid because we don't, they have the money and we haven't appropriated anything. So we have to ask for quotes. And I think we've been given them all the schematics for this. To give them as many options and give us kind of as wide a range as possible.
It seems like the major safety concern is the crosswalk location.
Yeah.
Have you considered an option just to do that? To address that key safety factor and then have another option to do all of this? Because it does seem like, I know the chief's worried about that should get done.
Yep.
So I'd hate to see it fail and that not get done.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to speak to that? I mean, this is the committee.
Yeah, I mean, we did look at it because it was one of my concerns too. And the question is, could you do it now? If you don't put that pathway in, you can't move the crosswalk because there's no way to get to the school that's ADA compliant. So you have to have a ramp as opposed to the stairs if you move the crosswalk. We also looked into, what happens if it doesn't pass and you can't pave the spaces that need to be paved or repair that. And we decided that it was that we didn't want to add to the school budget to do that and have it in two places, with the hope that the town would realize that this is something, that the safety needs to be done. It's to do the crosswalk and put the path in. It's, well, $60,000.
So as far as the ADA compliancy is, what point on the property does that have to be? So if I can drive my student up to the building and there's a ramp at the building, is that not compliant?
So, and if you have, so I've talked to the Department of Transportation ADA contact, and currently we are in compliance because people who are in a wheelchair or on crutches can go up the driveway. So it's kind of not a great option, right? So it is technically in compliance. They can't go up the stairs because you can't wheel a wheelchair up the stairs, obviously, but you can go up the driveway and then all the way around the building, dealing with all of the traffic that is associated.
No, I was just curious.
So it is technically in compliance. If we move the stairway, if we move the crosswalk, we have to put a ramp in because you can't go along. There's no sidewalk on that side.
Sure.
That's the onus there. Now, if this plan has it looks green here, but there's ways to get to that front door. Looks like it's completely green and grassed. That's not the case. There would be a way, obviously, for a walkway to get from the side lot here is going to have a handicap parking spot, the closest to the door possible, and be able to get out and get in to the building. And there is also going to be in the back of the building a handicap parking spot as well. So if they wanted to drop off where everybody else gets dropped off and go onto the playground or go up to the ramp in the back of the building during drop off and pickup only, they could do that.
Is there a ramp at the back of the building now?
There's currently one there.
Right next to it, that's right.
Yep.
Well, up front, that ramp's gonna be pretty steep from the street.
Well, it'll be inclined so that it should.
Yeah, so if you look at the plan,
Sort of.
that's why it loops around. So it's not going to go straight up to the front door. It's going to loop around to the side. That's why it has to be that specific grade. Yeah, because you're right. If you just go right up the hill, they're going to be going backwards. We don't want that.
You need a pulley system.
You're not gonna have strong enough.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that's why it's kind of, it does cross the brick wall, the stone wall, but then it gradually goes up and goes over kind of towards the garden and then turns around to the side of the building. So your ADA compliance is coming in on this side, not exactly the front, because you need that whole spot to get to that grade.
Did you say there's no lighting with this plan?
No lighting.
No additional lighting.
Even for that ramp and that stuff in front would be,
No, I think there's a street light there, right?
I don't remember.
By the school?
streetlight, but there isn't lighting there now.
On
And
the stairs. Yeah.
on the stairs, and that's not something that we put in the plan or even considered it, to be honest, because it's just when people, the nice thing about NES is that they do start later in the morning, so they actually are getting to school in the light. And when they're dismissed, they go straight across the street.
yeah, it would just be for strange, other things like parent-teacher nights or,
So people aren't,
holiday programs, things like that in the dark.
It's always something that we can look at in the future too.
Yep.
So,
That's fine.
lights.
yeah, I mean, this is what we wanted. One of the, at least my goals with this was to make it reasonable to the taxpayers, as reasonable as possible, kind of hitting the points that Karen had mentioned, making sure that it's going to stay ADA compliant, be safer, and minimize the traffic flow with the kids there. There's so many different points where that happens.
Would have a blinking light at the,
Blinking light at Piscassic.
okay.
So there'd be a user operated light, very much like Newmarket. If you've ever gone to Newmarket across any of those roads, it's like you press it and it starts blinking, which is really nice. And it'll be on both sides.
So how did you go? Was the plan that was presented before pushed by the SAU versus this sounds like it's coming from the Newfields School Board? I mean,
So
what transpired that?
transpired was, I'll be honest, I listened during the deliberative, I listened during the hearings and stuff like that. And I personally, as a school board member, didn't see, I didn't see the value to cost that the other plan had. And I didn't feel comfortable making any of these decisions on my own. I am not an engineer. I have never done construction, and I am one person in the community. So what the school board did, I kind of offered a plan to put a committee together based upon, many people in the community to see what was the appetite, what the tax benefits and detriments would be, and what would be a reasonable plan. So this isn't my plan. This isn't even the school board's plan. It's the committee's recommendation to the school board. And then the school board will, go through with it. So it is very much not something pushed by any one person.
It didn't come out of this.
So we're not going to go and do this and then the SAU is going to come out and say, no, you have to do something.
No,
That's what I'm.
yes.
They seem like we had to do it because the SAU said you have to do it.
No, so with the SAU, this has, on the committee, we have the representative from the administration. We have the principal, and I have particularly shared this with the facilities manager at the SAU, got questions from him, and gotten yep, this looks significantly better. So there shouldn't be, I would be very angry if there's anybody in the SAU saying that they were displeased with this plan or have any issues with it. Does that answer your question?
I think maybe you should take all the future SAU projects and
I don't know about that.
you turned it into like a third of what I think about what.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's the school, it's for the school, but it affects everybody in this town. And I don't feel good about just saying, hey, this is what I think we should do, and then throw a number at it. And this group has been invaluable in educating me on what we need to do, different ideas, different ways to think about it, as well as, you're the one talking today, and I'm glad.
It's sort of like the people that are on this committee are, I hate to say it this way, but they're business people, right? So there are people who are in construction or who aren't engineers, who've been in the business world, who've done proposals. And it has a little bit different feel to me than I think the people that were designing before, who were, people who had a vision of something they wanted to do, but didn't have any practical experience to You know, and when you go to somebody, you say, here's what I want, of course they're gonna do it. You know, it's a Cadillac. And we're trying to make this a workhorse, basically, and be sensible. I mean, we have cut and cut and cut and cut. Somebody would say, how about this? We'd say, well, do we need it or do we want it? And this is what it's come down to, what we as citizens basically felt that we need.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I think it's public knowledge that the fire department may be planning a,
Yeah, we've heard some rumors about that.
so does that influence what you could
Don't-
do or would do?
Don't. I'll answer that I don't know, because I don't know what, where, and when. For what the school needs right now, I think we're going to be good. And I don't
We
believe,
don't even know where that would go, right?
Right.
yeah,
I mean, it could be tear down the existing building and rebuild it and put offices in it for the police and everything, right? I mean, it could be on the same property, because do we have other town owns? Right, I mean, that's,
so I mean, until we know all of that, we want to make sure to be respectful of our neighbors as they exist now. And even if it is a tear down or if it is a relocation, then whatever goes in there is going to have a driveway, is going to have a parking lot. So I think this is regardless of.
no, it's a good question. It's a good
It
question.
is good. I mean,
I mean, it may turn into a shared driveway.
it could,
Yes.
it could be anything. We don't know. But if it is shared driveway, then that's kind of one of those, all right, let's figure out what that conversation is at that time. And that affects like a whole side of the property that that side of the property would not have parking on it. It's just that back portion. And they'd be the abutter, the other.
I mean, you know, when they put that crosswalk in, it was different times. Right,
No,
and there wasn't as much traffic as there is, you know.
right.
There weren't as many people dropping their kids off, picking them up. So it's sort of served its use when it was put in, but it's not a good, I mean, I drive through almost every day at drop off over to the gym. And, you know, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are trying to turn right and left out of that driveway. They're trying to get in there, you know, so the chief or somebody, Chris, was out there stopping traffic. And, you know, I talked to Brittany, the director at the library, and she got rear-ended there because there was a kid coming, you know, all of a sudden she had to stop because they wanted to cross some kids, and a kid rear-ended her. There was no blinking light, you know. We all know that the blinking
The
lights.
light changes too, and a lot of people say they
Right.
don't see till the last minute.
Yeah.
Glare isn't going to go away.
It-
It's just trying to make it as visible as possible, you know?
And the SEU, the SEU is continuing to work on the existing lights so that they don't blink at 8:30 at night when you come around the corner.
I think they're fixed now. Okay.
They were doing it the other night.
All right.
So, I mean, I think that that's a, you know, an SAU issue.
It is very much.
You know, the DOT told us that the town's sort of responsible for that blinking light, really, right? Because it's a town.
Yeah, but the SAU has to initiate. And
Right, yeah.
They need to do that. They need to get it fixed.
So, I mean, in conclusion, we looked at this, that the asphalt needed to be paved soon. It's way past that. And that would have been a significant expense. So we're sort of, that expense has now been woven into this proposal to be able to extend the driveway some and solve that.
Do you have any other questions? Obi, you have anything, or you?
Here we are.
Yes, we are.
You get a preview. Well, you both do.
Good. Well,
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank
Yep.
You walk up, watch out for the ice, it's very thin.
So we have a public hearing on our zoning changes for our second meeting here to read through them. sent out. Does anybody have any issues related to it? Adjustments that we made?
Going down on 14,416. It is with apartment. We don't want apartment in it.
Nope.
It'd be,
But it's an accessory.
it'd be dwelling,
Dwelling.
yeah.
And then on the next page,
There's,
evidence to the town health officer. I don't, but that whole, I think it should just be, Larry shouldn't have to be the one calculating how many bedrooms and flows and all that stuff. So I just think it should be approved by the water sewer district, if that's where they're going to connect. And then that it has to be certified by a state of New Hampshire licensed septic system designer. Let them do the calculation. But keep, the health inspector here is not going to be able to do that. That's my feeling.
Should it be DES instead?
Well, the DES isn't going to go, I think if you go,
DES is only going to be concerned about the septic system.
so they've got to go get a calculator, because this would require somebody looking up what's the approved septic system, what's the capacity, you know, and Larry shouldn't be the one doing that. So that's why I said, I think they got to go out and get a licensed septic designer and
Have it approved.
have it approved. It keeps Larry out, which I think he should be.
Can that just be an engineer that certifies it or something like that?
I'd be a licensed
Licensed
septic
engineer.
I mean, just like you're building a house, that's
Yeah.
like you. Larry doesn't inspect that,
The agent could be the Rockingham County Conservation District. They review,
All of the septic plans now.
they do.
Yeah.
They're part of the process.
Yeah, so maybe put it on them or a license. And then just approved by, I mean, water sewer district's gonna have to approve it too.
If it's within the district.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my take on how this has been in the past is that Larry has to see documents for a septic system that will handle it. And the way it has been, of course, in the same building, they could use their existing septic system until it was failure. However, they had to have a plan, so there's going to be a licensed engineer stamp on a plan that's available to build on that lot, approved to build on that lot, should their existing system fail. So it's been the building inspector's job to either know it's in the building, the water and sewer district, check, that's just a check in the box for him, or that there's a plan that will go forward should this current system fail. Now, we're having detached accessory dwelling units. That's a whole nother kettle of fish, but there's still got to be either town water and sewer or an approved plan. And so it is the building inspector's job to see that one of those two conditions is in place to go forwards.
So a separate building, additional dwelling unit.
Yeah.
They have their own septic system.
Yes. It's more than likely how it's going to be.
You can actually do it both ways still. You
Yes.
can still expand an existing
Right.
septic system
Sure.
to include the capacity requirements.
Right.
Probably the way that it happens most frequently.
Yeah, but if like mine's an older style where it's a tank and a field, it's not a chamber system. So that would be much more difficult to expand
and
because the area that it was created
Yeah.
on was created for it.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not trying to say that you're old. But this systems have changed and much less space is required now for stone and pipes.
I have a birthday coming up in just a few days, so I am getting older.
So it really isn't that big a deal. But we do have to make sure we understand who's gonna,
Sure. There needs to be a plan in place.
who's on first base here.
But show us what's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that is the building inspector's job, is to see that there's a plan going forwards.
Are you suggesting that instead of town health officer, it should say town building inspector?
Yes, I-
What do you think they should give up Larry documentation saying, I beat this?
Yes.
That's exactly
Documentation.
how in fact it works now. Well, it has worked.
You have to have a approved septic system.
Sure.
Sure.
But that improved septic system for Newfields gets reviewed by our CCD.
Yes, it does.
So if we're going to use this,
You need both is what you're,
yeah, I'm saying I doubt that Larry feels comfortable reviewing just every septic system that comes through. He expects that there's been some
Stamp of approval.
review by our.
That's his modus operandi, is just a stamp of approval.
my question is,
Where we have town agent, we should really say that it gets reviewed by the Rockingham County Conservation District.
so what gets reviewed? The stamped plan?
Yes.
The design
Okay.
plan.
Okay,
Not the design itself, but that somebody else has stamped their approval.
right. Then that goes to RCCD.
Correct.
Okay,
Also to the, it comes to the state.
okay.
And for Larry, that could be on a checklist to be prompting if moving forward and they
Right.
haven't followed that step.
Sure.
We
That would
we
be-
more or less work with Larry to help him create a checklist when this review went from the zoning board of adjustment to the building inspector himself.
Yeah, how does this all get changed?
I'm going to say that, we're going to remove the health officer. It's going to say that if it's on town in, town water and sewer, it has to be approved by the district.
Yeah.
And, that RCCD, acting as the town's agent, will review septic system designs, provided to them to ensure that they're capable of handling the requirements of the ADU. It's very straightforward. I see that.
It shouldn't be any different than if I'm building a,
Exactly.
1,000 square foot addition with a bedroom and
Your house, exactly.
whatever that process should be the same.
A little bit away from water and sewer. The thing that felt like perhaps we could put some verbiage in there is on parking, in that we have in our site plan about having two parking spots per residence. Now, the state for the ADU is requiring 2 cars, 1 parking spot.
Parking spots.
Oh, one spot.
So that's, you can ask.
So we need to make it perhaps clear that that is in addition to the 2 that are there with the primary residence. Because you have to search for that back in our regulations. It's not right up front.
And does the change in state law affect the parking for existing?
No, no, we can,
Only for the ADU?
what Kent has said, we could absolutely do. We could change the one line that we say that 1 parking space is required. We can absolutely augment that by saying, but
In addition to,
every single family residence in town requires 2 parking spaces. So
that's a primary residence and then the accessory dwelling unit in this case.
that's completely
Yeah.
allowed to do.
That's a good.
Good idea.
It was just something that was a little bit invisible unless you've been around long enough to, or you folks on this board have been through that maybe from the creation of, it. But other boards in town and including the building inspector's office, it isn't front and center.
Someone might say, oh, well, it's going to be so close to the house, we'll just use a spot in front of the house. And that might be one of only 2, and that won't fly. So I think adding that makes a lot
Yeah,
of sense.
let's clear that up. That's
We don't-
partly what we're here for tonight, is to work on this.
Misunderstanding.
414,417, right?
Correct.
You just gotta put the right additional.
Right, that's, I'm just adding an extra line.
You'll be out of business in TBA.
Yeah, we haven't been called to meeting for some time now. But I in my past, in my not too far past, I had an attorney explaining to me what he thought the zoning requirements was, and I had to sit there at my table and tell him I was a part of the discussion that the planning board used to come up with the ordinance that we passed last. So I think I understand. And also, we've seen the hiccups or the road bumps along the way with this stuff, and this is a transition to the base requirements, to the verbiage that we use in our town.
So if I put up an ADU, if I've got 5 acres and I put an ADU a ways away, separate septic, can I then subdivide that at some
No.
point? If the ADU is able to stand on its own?
You got road frontage? You got
Assume it does,
got
assume,
everything else?
let's
You
assume,
could have done it, it didn't have to be an ADU.
understand,
And you should be,
but could I do the ADU
and then sell it,
and then
subdivide, do it.
and sell it off?
It's
I mean, what would prevent you from doing that, as long as it met the
Right.
criteria of subdivision?
Well, I was just reading here, it says
One of them. has-
414,418, the structure and lot shall not be converted to condominium or any form of blah, 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 blah.
So if they get a building permit for an accessory dwelling unit, they would have to come back to the building inspector, or maybe the planning board, maybe the ZBA, to
Divide.
subdivide.
Be a planning board.
But that, it says that the ownership
Okay.
has to stay the same. Legal ownership just cannot be someone other than.
So long as it's under the title ADU.
Right.
Right.
But if they
Go to change that,
they have,
they have the right.
they have all the standards met for a subdivision, they could certainly do that. If you have all those standards and you're putting on an ADU, a detached ADU, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I get it. I know.
I would want to sell that lot to somebody who could put a four.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely could do it.
No, I just,
Building lot in Newfields is valuable, whereas a ADU on a small lot, is.
Much less valuable.
Sure.
no, I just,
Now, the other thing that came up as perhaps the town of Newfields wants to address is the square footage.
Yeah.
Do we want to put a limit on it? I don't know that we've got any 15,000-foot homes in town, but if that was the case, it could go to 5,000 square foot accessory dwelling unit.
We have limits.
Change.
It's all in here.
We changed it and just said it's.
950.
Then that
Made it back at 950.
Yeah, we have a
cap,
yeah, 650 threshold for minimum and then a 950.
620.
Okay, it's 625. Yeah, if it's 50, it's wrong in your.
Whatever was in the reg is the minimum.
Yeah.
The table of uses is 625.
Yeah, 414,414.
Yeah, I'm just seeing that. You got apartment in there.
I circled it. There's 3 of them on the first.
And those don't require any, that's not substantive going from apartment to dwelling. But unfortunately, the changing and including RCCD means we have to meet with this one more time.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right?
Tight.
We have time. But yeah, that's so we get rid of the percentage that we had prior and just cap it.
awesome.
That was. Yes.
Any other comments?
Man.
Before we leave accessory dwelling,
Yes.
I just included and will have to be addressed at the next public hearing, is that because the definition in here for ADU is slightly different than the definition in the definition section, I'm proposing that we just change in the definition section to say that accessory dwelling units see the definition found in this, so that the language is the same. And if this ever changes, it will be, the
You don't have-
definition is referring to whatever change this
Mhm.
would take.
Good idea.
Why you pay the big bucks? Oh, no. That's thanks to you, the person sitting next to you.
Wow. Nice.
That's why.
I don't have, I didn't leave this shit on. No, I was actually standing there with Sue. We were looking at something else. And, oh, look, there's a definition for.
There's a definition. And it's 7 words different, but they're substantial words. Okay. Now the final one. And let's preface this. We don't have a big commercial zone in Newfields. But this state law does exist. So you could thumb your nose at the state and say our commercial zone doesn't make provision for multifamily. And a developer can come in and say, and this is what I want to put in. And if it went to court, we would be in a really weak position. And it's you hear people talk about builder's remedies a lot, and they often, I mean, in reality, they don't happen. A builder's remedy is something that a judge can do. They can simply say, your ordinance doesn't comply with the law. And so we're saying to this builder, they can build what they want to build. And so that's an exposure that even though our commercial district is really small, it's a really high risk. It's a really high risk. But anytime you put something in the books, it means someone can do it. It means someone just looking at your ordinance can see, oh, I can do this. So there's a risk there too, that you're going to see.
But they know they can do it now.
And
Right.
You know,
most people, most of
big developers do.
know the law.
Right. Yes.
It's not, it wasn't done secretly.
No.
So that comes down to what are we going to do? And so this is an attempt at saying what you'd be able to do in our very limited commercial zone.
So what are the demands of the state with their law? Just what we're seeing here?
It just says multifamily will be allowed
In commercial district,
in any commercial zone.
unless there were certain conditions that would make it not safe.
Correct.
Based on the commercial activity already happening on the property. And then of course the water table and the slope.
But under number 1A, I think you need to have a density shell 6 units. Put the in there. And then who defines workforce housing?
Well, workforce housing has a very, it has defined definition, that's really poor language right there. There is a state definition. In the state law, workforce housing is defined.
Should we reference RSA, whatever it is?
We absolutely can. We absolutely can.
That's probably going to change. Seems like it's been fluid.
Well, it's been pretty much unchanged since the law went in around 2009 or so.
So what is it? Is it the income base?
It is. It's I think it's 674.57. It's at the back of 674 and 674. That chapter goes on for.
Just as long as I think we've referenced that specifically, then.
So we're gonna allow, and you don't have to do any provision. This doesn't have to have any provision for workforce housing. The only reason I'm including it here is because there's also a law that states you have to provide for workforce housing. But that law says you're supposed to provide for workforce housing in all areas, no, in 50% of all areas of your town, zoned residential. So, and we've never done that. And so if we have, what I'm trying to accomplish here is if somebody takes us down on that, tries to just say something about that, we would at least be able to say, we do provide for workforce housing in the commercial zone. But then a judge is going to look at our commercial zone and say, that is a really tiny commercial zone compared to 50% of all land zoned as residential. That's a really different comparison.
Can't you then go back and say, count the number of houses that have been built since that law went into place? And, you know, there haven't been a whole lot of them.
No, because the reference point for workforce housing is, the reference point is how many units qualify for the definition of workforce housing.
So what should the town do? Every 14 houses that go up, you gotta have one? And how do you force a guy to build workforce housing?
Generally, the only way to do it is to provide density bonuses.
Or workforce housing?
Workforce housing. It's not something we've ever talked about. And I gotta tell you, it's not something that developers,
They don't want to do it.
well, the reason they do want to do it in environments completely unlike southeastern New Hampshire. Honestly, the land value in southeastern New Hampshire is so different than virtually everywhere else, any other non-urban place in the country. Now, we all know that all the urban centers, Boston, San Francisco, Los Angeles, their affordability matrices are way out of whack because of where they are. But for just a rural area like southeastern New Hampshire, our land values are obscene. And I'm not going to tell you why that's the case. I've looked at it for years. I've never understood it, but that's the case. And it makes workforce, we had a development that included workforce housing units in Brentwood. And so people were buying homes for the same cost. And because they were part of the percentage that were workforce, they were having deed restrictions on them that their neighbors didn't have, even though they spent the same exact amount of money to get the unit. It's broken. It's broken.
So now we've got something saying workforce housing, if you want it, this is the percentage. Could a developer come in, if we didn't have that in there, and say, I'm just going to build 50 units of workforce housing because Newfields
Doesn't have it.
doesn't have it.
Somebody could propose that.
So this in a way,
Have been able to propose that since 2009.
Could they also come in and propose no workforce housing
Under multifamily,
in the complex?
as this is written, yes, you can
We're
just,
not requiring it.
just get less affordable housing.
So developers aren't,
if it did go to court, we say, yeah, look, we do allow workforce housing.
We're
These are.
trying, yes, we have our foot in.
Yeah, you're teasing them with additional, yeah.
It's granted, it's a weak argument, but it's an argument. And then I really think the town just says, look, show us how workforce housing is getting done in any small rural community. You know, we're not Exeter. You're an odd small rural community with a water and sewer district, which is not, I mean, is there another community this small with a water and sewer district? That's amazing, but still, land costs are what, it's the prohibiting factor.
So I have a question on the chart. We years ago changed the zoning to reflect residential use in the commercial zone to match the requirements for the residential lot size.
Mhm.
Is there any merit or should we consider the minimum frontage to be more than 100 feet if we're going to allow for a multifamily? We currently have in our zoning that if you use commercial property residentially, you have to have 200 feet of frontage as opposed to 50. So I don't know.
You absolutely can do that. The reason the reason that I've made this less and why you generally see them less is because these are done generally as multifamily units that are either quadplexes, 8 units, up to 24 units. And the layouts aren't really contingent upon the frontage. Lots of multifamily developments we have a 50-foot frontage requirement. Because really all you need is a driveway in.
Parking spot, yeah.
So that in combination with the descriptions of building styles, whether they're townhouses or garden apartments. I know in the paragraph 2, you put in that all of the multifamily shall require the first floor to be commercial and second floor to be the dwellings, but then the descriptions of like townhouse structure or, I mean, how is that conducive to being used commercially on the first floor? Like it reads funny to me.
Yeah, I agree, it does. It does. Townhouse,
Doesn't townhouse mean more than one floor?
generally, right, generally it means 3. But often it's based, in many instances, it's based in the first floor, second.
I never consider the townhouse structures as being commercial buildings. Commercial use buildings, usually townhouse structures are built for residential use.
Yeah,
Maybe the word should change. Maybe it shouldn't be called
Because
townhouse.
with 35 feet, are you going to be able to even put a 3-story townhouse?
only if you have a full basement. If you have a.
So I think I used to say that, like, find something in townhouse.
I'm saying it just reads funny to me. It almost seems like the town's allowing for apartment buildings, townhouses. But then we're saying they have to meet the criteria of the first floor being commercial.
Right.
So if I was a developer coming into town, I'd be like.
That's not a townhouse.
Yeah, you're saying I can build an apartment building. I'm not gonna put retail in the first floor of my apartment building. Like, why am I gonna do that? Sounds conflicting. I don't know.
If you just take the word townhouse.
Yeah, if it just becomes multifamily structure. Yeah,
And so I guess maybe that's more to my point or question is why would we describe garden apartments and townhouse structures?
yeah, and just have it be multifamily and as many units.
And of the first floor retail.
Yeah. I see that. I see the confusion that it creates.
Well, the difference is one of them is a maximum of 8 per unit and the other one's a max of 24 per unit.
And that's just, that's
Those are numbers, yeah.
honestly just numbers.
But if you get rid of the 2, do you just make it all one number?
It can just be multifamily dwelling units. And then 3 and 5 can be combined into, it's all just, they're multifamily units. You can either have 2 stories. Really, all you can have is 2 stories. Right?
Yeah.
That's really what we're
It'd
saying.
be a two-story building. You'd have to have
And you're gonna have commercial on the,
commercial retail incorporated into the first floor. Multifamily could be allowed on the second floor. The density we have in the chart for how much, whether it's 6 or 8 or whatever we do for incentive per acre. I think adding language about the structures, I feel like maybe we pin ourselves rather than having a developer come in and say, look, I want to build this, because we have an architectural standard.
We do, the architectural standard that we say they have to comply with does address many of the things that are in these two different phases.
I think it would be maybe something to consider for the board in proposing this to the town, to have it be a little bit more simplified than
I agree.
being more descriptive of the types of buildings. I think we should define the fact that we're allowing multifamily and how we want that to present, being that we want it to be combined with the commercial. So it's not just apartment buildings, townhouses.
Or just commercial.
Commercial development.
And we want them to.
I'll just say you're effectively making this not an economically viable thing for a developer. No developer is going to build a 2-story building with 1 floor being retail and 1 floor above. It doesn't, you can't make it work. You need to have multiple floors above to subsidize it because there's no retail use anymore.
We can't go higher.
Exactly. So we're by putting that on, making commercial use on the first floor, you're kind of making this. Nobody's going to do this investment. So you're complying with the state law, but you're kind of not making this attractive.
Wouldn't why not?
And we don't have a lot of commercial use.
There's so little commercial use in anywhere in the seacoast now. I mean, it's all evaporated. I mean,
But that would allow for the.
there's no demand. So when you're doing this, like I did one of these in Exeter, you're like making up tenants underneath to comply with the zoning. And we were putting 3 and 4 stories up on top to make it economically viable. And then the developers like, putting his offices in there and doing like that. So that it pretends that it's commercial, but there's no commercial demand anymore.
So you think with this development, you'd sell or rent those units, but you'd never sell or rent.
Couldn't do it price wise,
You'd never sell or rent the
commercial land and everything. You couldn't make the thing economically viable unless you could. But
And since they can't,
or apartment, we won't do it.
the developer just gonna say.
You're gonna go somewhere else where they can go up.
Can't do anything.
My argument to that, Jamie, I mean, we're faced with a state law that's requiring us to allow for multifamily. So what do we care whether or not the developer?
We don't.
If it's economically viable?
I'm just saying, understand, we're making a law here that's not.
I feel as a member of this board and someone who has sort of experienced over time the town and the character of the town, that if we are not careful in the way that we propose this, and granted, it's up to the governing body to make the decision ultimately on what we propose. But I feel often the unintended consequences of what we do as a planning board could yield something that would be townhouse structures in the commercial zone with,
Yep.
or an apartment building. Like, I don't know, is that really what is of character for Newfields and what our vision and our master plan is? I don't think so. I feel like if we're gonna allow for this to be done in the commercial zone, we need to do it in combination with commercial use. I feel that the fact that we're considering, first floor being commercial use and allowing for some residential units above, that we've had those visionaries.
Just looking at it, we have commercial land, we have some industrial land.
Sure.
We have a very small tax base here. And if it gets divvied up, I mean, if we're creating something that's not going to allow us to, how do we fund our town long-term if we don't have something that goes in there that creates some tax base?
They still can go do a commercial.
Correct.
Yes, all commercial.
Correct.
That's what they want.
Right.
And so that's,
I'm just saying we should think about how we.
We're not suggesting that a developer has to do
No.
multifamily.
Right, we're doing this because we're being forced to do this.
Yes,
So that, again, that's my.
which is fine. We're
Just thinking thought process wise of keeping it simple too, like let's just present it as allowing for that option, whether a developer chooses to go that path. If it's not economically viable for them or it doesn't make sense, then it doesn't make sense. Doesn't mean they still can't develop the property commercially, or to a certain extent, they could do some residential development of the commercial zone it made sense. If there was units and, subdivision of the property, if retail or commercial use, didn't pay the bills, then maybe they do housing. I don't know, but the multi-family component, I feel like we just need to be careful in the way that we present it if again, the town votes in favor to do it. Yes, because otherwise we could end up with apartment buildings out there in the commercial zone. I'm just not sure if that's really what the town envisioned. Maybe it is.
Is there anything that we could say in the zone that could be done that isn't typically done in commercial? Could we say institutional or governmental
Yeah,
activities could be on the first floor?
So
Just to say, maybe there's some sort of partnership that could happen that could be non-residential on the first floor, but residential on the second floor, and done in light of the fact that commercial is probably not going to happen in that first floor.
Like a either or for the first floor, like
The
a
first floor,
commercial or.
a kind of use that isn't traditionally commercial, but would not be unpalatable as the first floor, not being residential.
well, in the commercials, I always say home occupations, retail stores, restaurants, streets, that, so, yes, it's a variety of things you could put in there.
Could we say governmental? Could we say that
Yeah, at one,
the SAU could change their offices for Mexico? Put them underneath the multifamily structure in Newfields.
I mean, at one point, I think we talked about making it kind of like this, more of a campus type. When we were talking about it, let's get away from the box stores and start talking about a campus style commercial district. So that would mean, and like, I'm just looking, like you just said, Glenn, we don't offer anything like educational, something along that line. Even to try to encourage it other than this housing, just to say, let's expand.
Right, and perhaps in the commercial zone, it would be those uses too.
So as far as this proposal goes, if I want to develop that and want apartments there, they have to be commercial on the first floor.
Yes.
Yep.
That is,
So I can't have a commercial building next to an apartment building.
Without a variance. You could get a variance.
Yeah.
If you had a really great project and had a good compelling reason, you could project it.
With that option.
So do we add
You have-
another definition under schedule of uses that is kind of involves this?
concept of different uses in the commercial zone.
The other question I have is the frontage. Let's assume this looks like,
What are the frontages of are there 12 properties in the commercial zone? What are the frontages now?
I don't think any of them are. I don't know, there's a couple that might be 50 feet. Most of them, I think, have over 100. Just thinking northbound, headed, the problem as you head southbound on 108 and get to the river, the ability to develop becomes pretty, I'd be shocked if that ever changed. That it might, maybe, who knows, but with the ranch house up on top and the small house right at the end of 108 before it crossed the bridge, and then the Pelletier property. I don't know. That could do something someday, maybe, but frontage wise, I think the Pelletier property is probably 350 something feet maybe, and then adjacent's 200, and then the one after that might be 50, maybe. Then northbound on the opposite side, once you get past the stretch of the farm, you're talking, you know, the state, the cemetery, the frontage for the campground and mobile is probably at least 200 feet. The other development on Winkler Way is already kind of set.
Yeah, yeah.
The development at, what was Stratum Tire, Lavani property is pretty much set. The roadway, there's lots there that are already, you know, cut out. And then you've got a house northbound
Yeah.
on the east side that's got maybe 50 feet of frontage that just recently got revamped just before Muddy River and then I mean, there isn't a lot up there. It's,
So Glenn, do you think we should come in with like 3.427 and to make it, we need to,
I think we do.
what would it say?
So I think we're looking at institutional, educational, and governmental uses.
And that would be XX, but P in the commercial.
In the commercial, exactly. Exactly. And a weird perk about all this is because the commercial zone is so small, we have to send a first class letter to every property owner saying we're doing this and inviting them to the public hearing. Because the state determined a couple of years ago that if you change the permitted uses in a district and it has less than 100 properties in the district, everyone has to be notified. It's just a pain in the rump, but we have to do that. So that's something we have to do before our hearing in January.
No, this doesn't impact industrial zone.
No,
Yep.
this is just the commercial zones.
So we would add that, but now you go add some definitions and all that stuff.
Correct.
you gotta be honest.
So this could be a doctor's office, an attorney's office.
Well, I think in the commercial zone, we probably don't allow
Professional office.
we allow professional office.
You know, in a smaller dwelling.
So those could be, but things like, I don't know, what are things?
I don't know about storage space.
Qualifies. I mean, you could.
art studio.
Fences.
Yeah, maybe like, yeah, or maybe just.
If it was aesthetically.
Adjunct
It'd be useful.
offices to
Just buy
Great
it.
Bay.
Whatever level.
No, they want to, they
People-
want space to do something, but it's associated with Great Bay and we don't really allow them to do that in commercial zone. But they would be able to.
So it's different than professional services.
They're private
Right.
downstairs
Right.
neighbors.
We already have.
Those things, the typical lawyer office and dentist office, those all fall under that.
But you're talking more institutional, municipal, government.
Government, yeah,
Institutional.
and maybe even charitable, places like Seacoast United Way or
Yeah.
places like that that aren't.
Can you call it just office space?
Well, we already allow that. This would be expanding to
I think it's like,
sort of a niche thing, like institutional, educational, and governmental.
governmental, yeah.
It's saying that those three uses are allowed in the commercial zone.
I mean, and they're not now, like you.
I think they probably are.
Could it do municipal use? Why couldn't it? Aren't most,
Well, the tropical, but could another governmental agency?
oh, I see.
See, the DOT put a
Move in there.
facility there.
Somehow, Glenn, I think if DOT showed up here and said, we want to put a facility in fact, I will say that
They would just do it.
site over there behind the cemetery has more buildings back there than any of us even realize.
So
So
DOT was a bad example.
I think they probably would just go right forward and do what they need to do.
DOT was a bad example.
So we're gonna take this definition and cross off 3 and 4.
Yes.
And because I, what John was, we've had good luck dealing with commercial architecture.
Yeah, and they address these kinds of things. I would look at I'll look at the architectural standard closer because I haven't looked at it really in a while to see if there's anything here that seems like it needs to augment that. But there's a lot, I mean, come on, it's 20 pages long. There's a lot of information there.
Yeah, it seems to have worked quite well.
And are we good with the minimum frontage of 100 feet? Is that still?
Well, I was,
We allow for 50 for commercial use. So, I mean, 100, we are kind of bumping it up.
It is definitely a bump up.
so how physically would that work if I'm putting in this building that's, I don't know, a couple 100 feet long? And I'm gonna have, that means I can only have 2 spaces?
Your driveway.
Well, So I've got this building sitting on the road and the frontage is probably direct out. So I've got 200 feet of frontage. So that means I can only have 2 residential units in that building?
Minimum.
Right.
So the frontage in that case wouldn't have anything to do with, because if the lot itself is 25 acres, they could end up with 40 multifamily units.
The street part.
Just a lot frontage.
This,
Not for,
if in fact they were to subdivide, they'd have to subdivide to this threshold.
Minimum.
Whereas if you had 300 feet and you wanted to subdivide, and you could do it to 50 feet, you could maybe get more lots.
Right.
100 would,
But they would be commercial if you wanted to do multifamily. you
Correct.
put a Minimum of 100. So
correct.
I'm, cool. Makes sense.
Now, at one point,
So we're staying at the, staying at the.
at one point, there was a proposal to bring sewage up to, right? So what if somebody said, hey, I'll do that. Water's already there. Would we go and would they come to us and say how we've halved the square footage of a lot if you have public utilities? Would that be something that we would think about up there, or should we have that in there now to say,
I think that there are so many what ifs there
just,
that we would have another town meetings opportunity to make changes if we had to.
The district extends the entirety of what I mean.
it only, the district, it just goes up to, it doesn't go up to one, yeah, it just stops right
The
there.
infrastructure stops.
Yeah.
But the district encompasses the whole of 108.
No.
Yes.
Because it was gonna go up there. We were gonna
We were gonna.
run it up to Dunkin' Donuts.
And then I think the result of those meetings, it was discussed that it would go.
No, it stops.
Stops at 85?
Stops at 85, yeah.
Okay.
I want you to in a wire match right now.
I have that right here. I have that.
so back to the minimum depth.
Regardless.
We don't-
Okay, regardless, the infrastructure of the district at the moment, let's just say, extends to the end of 85. Water is out there, sewer could be out there because it is in the district. If someone wanted to expand the district to include.
I'd pay for that.
They extended that would require meetings. And then, yeah, I mean, and then at that point, like in town, we allow for a change of frontage or lot if you have the water in town facilities, right, or it's your own subsurface well. So I mean, that's,
Yeah, I would change the game.
changes the structure and.
The bigger issue that creates is if you have water and sewer, then the 6 units is a way underestimation of what you could develop.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why I say, if that becomes a possibility, we go to another town meeting. Because they're gonna probably want levels that the town probably isn't comfortable with. They're gonna want to develop a multifamily development for Portsmouth that Newfields doesn't want. And so we should
Yep.
have a town meeting.
Same time, they'll want to increase the height to 40 feet.
Yeah, exactly.
So back to this chart, minimum depth, it says 100 and then 50 under it. What is,
That's front and rear.
okay,
Yeah, that is,
Okay.
I'm sorry, that I could make that clearer.
good.
right?
So we're gonna add the RSA for
workforce housing. Yeah.
cross 3 and 4 and add another item, institutional, educational, whatever.
Right, it's something to expand those uses.
And then change, add definitions.
Yes, and I have to do that quickly because we have to have this language here for 10 clear days. And I'll talk to Sue about getting letters out to everyone. We need to do that.
To all the commercial property owners.
The property owners.
Any further discussion?
Well, that was actually great feedback, Nate. That was a good discussion. That was a good discussion. Maybe the zoning police won't come get us.
It's right.
Those are my trainers, so I thought I'd share them with you.
Mobile lighting update.
Before you got here, Catherine, I said to Jamie, first she's gonna take me out the wood pile and switch me a few times, but honestly, at this point, I've been getting to the way of it's like I'm just talking with them. So let's let me talk with them. All right, because clearly you've given me 3 months and I've accomplished 0. So let's get me out of the way.
I don't like it.
Can you
Now,
email copies of your correspondence?
yes.
Copy, yeah, for us. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
thank you.
Can we go back to noise?
Oh, noise. Bobby and I had a discussion and upon understanding how it is applied, there wasn't a need to do a noise. So that's why you didn't see it.
We got one done.
Okay, the easiest way, possible.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm done. All right.
CIP.
See, I'm talking with some of the departments, but there hasn't been a lot of time.
Okay.
There hasn't been a lot of progress.
I received an email from Jeff Kuchar. He has resigned. So we have an open spot on the board. I'll ask Michael to take it, but we will be looking for a new alternate. We need a new alternate. So if we have,
Well, John's an alternate too, right?
yep,
Yeah, so we've got 2 alternates.
so we got 2 alternates. So I guess we could decide who we want to move up.
Sean indicated.
He's good.
Yeah, right.
State that. He did state that.
He did say that
publicly. He did, yeah.
Moving, right?
Well, but
He's moving to Portsmouth. I'm fine with offering it to him first, if that's what the board should do, but
Because it does seem like it's what.
He was there.
so he's not going to be moving anytime soon.
Okay.
So but he's going to be in town another.
Leave it up to him to.
And he wanted,
Yeah.
he may want to stay as an alternate.
Right, that's fine. I just think,
It is better to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's better to have.
Let him be the one to make that decision.
Right.
May say, yeah, I'd love to do it for 4 months or
189 extra.
CIP, do we need to tie in the public safety aspect
So,
complex?
yes, I've talked with him.
Okay.
We met a month or so ago and I just, the police chief just emailed me last week telling when the next meeting is.
Next Thursday.
Yes, yes.
Just want to make sure that it was in the CIP discussion when that came up on the board.
It absolutely is, yeah. They've been very forthcoming, actually.
yeah, unfortunately, at this point, the committee is at the very beginning of the process, so there's not a lot of information to put forward. I do feel that it is important to note that the town is looking in that direction. Whether or not we're to provide details for the CIP for its completion date or whatever, think if there's a way to incorporate the fact that the town is actively engaged with a public safety.
I encourage my towns to use the CIP in two ways, as a CIP, but also as sort of a consciousness raising instrument. And so if there is some sort of project that's being discussed, it should be in there, because people will then see it and they'll become aware of it, and it can become fleshed out as it moves along. But the CIP is something that'll be on the website. It's something that people will read. And it does serve a purpose to have as many projects in there as you can have that are legitimate. I mean, if these are things the town's really thinking about, then it should be included.
Public safety is definitely something that should be in the current CIP, because we are actively working to go in that direction for the police and fire to combine and build a facility.
And there could be steps that cost money.
There are, yep. So that'll be a result of the meeting next week. We do want to put forward we're hoping to put forward a warrant article, but not impact taxes. We're thinking we will ask for unencumbered funds to cover what we're looking forward to in our warrant article, some of the exploratory costs that we're going to incur. We haven't formally done that yet, but that's our thought process at this point. Should we do something before the voters in March, so at least we can begin to sort of get everyone's mind thinking forward for the need, because there is a need. We've been kicking the can too far, too long.
So does the fire department own the property, or does the town?
Town.
I mean, it's,
Same,
yeah. It's part of town. It's, yeah, town property. Yeah. Where it currently is located, yes. Yeah.
so is it probable that it will not be on that property?
I think.
That's a really good question.
Well, I think,
Oh, Mike.
I think at all possibilities.
yeah, and I think so just a quick anecdote in regard to the public safety component of it, as opposed to a new fire station or new police station, as we've sort of been faced in the past with these additions and remodeling and all that kind of stuff. Thankfully, our current chiefs of both fire and police are amenable to working together to save the municipality the expense of redundant needs when it comes to the departments and the facilities. So
That's a switch.
it's well,
Great.
change and something that, yeah, I think the town, should go in that direction. It makes sense for the two to combine when it comes to certain aspects of the facility. We've talked about this publicly. It's not a secret. I mean, it's, we're hopeful as we continue down this road, we're going to end up with, a good plan to put forward to townspeople that hopefully will solve that issue for many years to come.
So looking at the safety plan that the school had, is there any overlap
No. I
with the
don't-
property, or?
I don't see that. I don't know that the town, it would be feasible for the town to look at that particular parcel to redevelop into a joint public safety. But that's up to the outcome of the committee. We're very early in the stages of those discussions, but yeah.
Just quick square footage analysis, that lot would not be viable.
Yeah.
The existing one?
Yeah. And there's also some funding more advantageous if both are combined.
Correct.
So that's kind of We've only had one meeting.
Yeah, so emergency management kind of folds into the police department, and the fire department. And it is sort of looked at as three separate things, fire, police, emergency management, but combining all of that hopefully will allow the town to be in a better position if it comes to some funding that may, we've got to get plans and we've got to get it in our capital improvement. And we've got to get that out there so that we can take advantage of those situations should they arise. That's what we're working at. So however we can incorporate that into the CIP would be great.
By all means, we will do that.
Great. I know we have to do minutes, Jamie. The Muddy River fell off.
And I have agreed that they will give us monthly figures. I haven't seen them for this month, but they'll go all the way through the season.
Did they answer whether the last readings included residents in the house? And it does.
Just an update on the sidewalk between Meadow and Old Lee. We found the plan. Brian and I spent quite a bit of time looking at it. Hobie's contacted DOT. DOT's made changes to like mostly ADA stuff. So that plan is kind of, so.
Of course.
And then looking at funding, it was just like, let's put it off another year. It's just because we're going to have to come up with a plan. There's some other thoughts about, and DOT seems like they don't really want to be too interested in doing it. They just, so, part of it is the width. There's not enough width up there to get what they require. So we got to look at alternatives. How can you get a sidewalk up there without maybe not going on DOT land?
Oh, you mean
Changing it.
not building out onto the road?
Pushed the other way.
So it'll probably be next year. But I did find out that the town owns the land up above there. That's what's triggering some of this change of thought. There's just two lots and then the town owns all the land, but it looks like it's in conservation. It's designated conservation. Part there's a living parcel. Yeah, you were on that contract. I saw your name.
It's right, it's
Mobile lighting,
this side of,
mobile lighting update?
Go into the slide.
Okay. Yeah.
But before you do minutes, or you can do it, I guess I can talk after. Cell phone.
Okay. Comments on the minutes?
I'll make a motion for group pleasure. Good.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Glenn?
The Copley subdivision that got approved in September, their conditional approval runs out tonight. And they emailed me a request for a 1 month extension because although they've got everything to us, one of the things that they did get to us last week was the easement language for the shared driveway. And Derek has not had a chance to look at that yet. And so I looked at it, it's like the best easement I've ever seen. They talk about every possible potentiality, but still, we asked them to give it to us so the council could look at it. So council needs to look at it. So if you guys would just give a 1 month extension, we have everything. We have the Mylar, we have the permits, but Derek does need to do the sign off on that.
Make a motion to extend the deadline for a month.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So does this not let them sell that property yet?
Yes, they can't sell it because.
Okay, hasn't really been approved.
Buyers.
Okay.
Correct.
I guess not gonna want to.
Right.
And the plan hasn't been recorded, so.
Is it that Derek has it and he hasn't looked at it?
No. I've told him that I'm gonna send it to him, but I have not sent it to him.
Just got it.
Just got it.
Yes, I got it at the end of last week. Yes.
So it's not on us.
So it's what?
That they were the ones that delayed getting it.
No,
Yes, and you know what? They wouldn't have gotten it to us if I called and asked them. Because somebody had asked Sue 10 days ago, what was going on with it? And she said, Glenn, what's going on with it? And so I said, well, let me look. And said we have yet to receive some things, so we lit the fire on it. It's on it, so.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. You look like a Scottish,